Mona. They accidentally delivered Mr. Wilbury's newspaper to us. Could you run it over to him, please? It's by the front door.
Do I have to?
It'll just take a minute.
Come on in. It's unlocked.
Here, Mr. Wilbury, I have a paper.
Why, thank you. But call me Victor. None of this Mr. Wilbury formality. I haven't seen you since my wife died.
Well, I have to be going now.
No. Stay and have a cup of tea. Go into the kitchen and get yourself a mug. Here, you take a seat there, dear. I'll pour you some tea. You know, I was thinking, today would have been my mother's birthday. Really remarkable woman she was. Raised me and all my siblings by herself. I'll still remember what she said the day I asked her where my father was.
I guess it is about time I told you, son. Your father? Well, he left us when you were about a year old. I came home one day and there was a note on my bed explaining that he had met some young jazz singer and that he was leaving me for her. It was about the hardest thing that ever happened to me. But you know, I don't regret it, because if I hadn't met that miserable excuse for a man, I wouldn't have had you. Things happen for a reason, good things and bad. They're all leading somewhere.
Say, why are you delivering my paper? Is this your paper route now?
They accidentally delivered it to my house instead of yours. And I don't think kids do paper routes anymore.
Really? No more paper routes. Do you have a job?
No, I'm 15.
15, hey? I had a job when I was 14, working on the railroad. Back in my day, everybody my age had a job. I worked on the railroads for a year. I'd had pneumonia when I was a child. My health was never really the same. So I found a job that was easier on my lungs. Splitting wood for the lumber mill. There's something almost meditative about splitting wood. Just me, the forest, and my axe. Then I had the accident. Ah! Would you like some more tea, dear?
Oh, that's okay. I have lots. What did you do after you wrecked your foot?
Well, it was the 50s, so of course I started a plant business.
Why a plant business?
Do you mean to tell me you never heard of the 1950s plant boom?
No.
My word, they teach you nothing in school nowadays. The 50s is the first time people started buying plants for the sake of owning plants. Just to look at. My friend and neighbor Victor Remington was the distant cousin of some earl or count in Bulgaria, and he used his inheritance to help us get our plant business up and running. Victor and Victor's Botanicals was extremely successful, but more importantly, that's where I met Mildred. This girl was at the stand to buy an orchid. She was the most beautiful woman in the world. I knew right then that she was the woman I was going to marry.
And did you? Did you marry her?
Yes, I did. You know, she looked after you sometimes when you were younger. A couple years later, Remington went off to war, and he never came back. I was too sad to continue without him, so I closed Victor and Victor's Botanicals. Fortunately, I had enough money to support Mildred and myself, and when we got married, we moved here. I'll never love anyone as much as I loved her.
was really nice talking to you, Mr. Wilbury. I mean, Victor, but I have to get going. Thank you for the story.
No, dear. I always tell anybody who's willing to listen. I believe my mother now. Everything does happen for a reason. Life pushes and pulls you in different directions. If I hadn't got pneumonia, I would have never worked for the lumber mill. I would have never sliced my foot open. Victor and Victor's Botanicals would have never existed. I would have never met my wife. The world sure is a different place now. Children don't study the 1950s plant boom or have paper routes anymore. People are all caught up in the future. They forget that every little thing matters, and it's all leading somewhere.